How do you know I'm not a gangster or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is filled with gangsters.
Mathew Knowles' kindness is over. The man who founded Destiny's Child is reportedly launching a silent attack on Jay-Z. And this time, he isn't just ignoring the subject or mumbling behind closed doors. A daughter whose name keeps appearing. In press reports, she didn't agree to an unresolved paternity dispute and the trigger. Those close to the Knowles camp claim that Mathew has had enough of the Carter Empire's instability damaging Beyonce's reputation. He's hinting to her in private that it might be time to leave.
My father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different than...
It's not just a dad's issue. Over decades, this insider has witnessed an increase in stress levels, and they have finally reached a breaking point. Rumor has it that Mathew thinks Jay-Z's latest accusations are more than just hearsay. They represent a complete breakdown of credibility. He is allegedly urging Beyonce to think about officially separating herself from the man whose secrets could eventually come back to haunt her in order to protect her reputation, her children, and her mental health. Furthermore, when Mathew Knowles, the man who once helped Beyonce to international fame, begins threatening to reveal what he knows, that his words, not just tabloid fodder.
I say as a father that I hope I instill with them the values that they would want to look for in a man. And I think I did when Beyonce wrote on her, I think it was her first album, maybe it was the second one, the song Daddy, that she hoped that she found someone just like her daddy.
There's a reason for the time an old ghost from Jay-Z's past has surfaced as he tries to defend himself against a lawsuit that connects him to Diddy's troubling legal issue. Ramir Satterwade has been attempting to establish that Jay-Z's Sean Corey Carter is his biological father since he was a teenager. For over a decade, the myth continued to reverberate in courtrooms and in private conversations. The tale is now in danger of being ruined by further DNA testing requests. According to rumors, Carter's legal team virtually buried the case with red tape and sealed documents, changed property records, and evaded a court-ordered test. Ramir's mother, Wanzer, is deceased and can no longer speak for herself under a completely different spotlight. Her affidavit claiming to have had a relationship with Jay-Z when she was just 16 is being re-examined. This might be the last straw for Jay-Z as a father, spouse, and businessman. Jay-Z is more than simply a man with a past. If the DNA test findings validate the charges Ramir made years ago, he might have avoided prosecution for decades. Mathew is set to draw the line at that point. Insiders claim that he is furious behind the scenes since Beyonce has been left to handle the crisis while protecting his children from rumors and the press at school. Jay, however, doesn't say anything in the hopes that the news cycle will come to an end. Not right now. Not with so much on the line. And not with Mathew threatening to hold public talks that some claim reveal a history of intentional intimidation and obstruction between Wanda's agents and Jay-Z's legal team.
You feel initially when Beyonce started dating Jay-Z, who is very successful, but he's also, generally considered a gangster rapper.
What else is there that Mathew Knowles knows? According to some, if Beyonce doesn't want to, he's willing to take things further. Former Rockefeller affiliates claim that he is holding onto information about private settlements, dubious conversations, and a long-rumored blackmail fund, a covert fund that Jay-Z has allegedly kept on hand to put an end to scandals before they get out of control. One of them referred to the funds as a panic vault for situations such as these. Despite the consistent pattern, we have not yet seen receipts. Attorneys that make mistakes in court without warning, abrupt case dismissals, and well-timed NDAs. In order to avoid the paternity test, Jay-Z lied about his property ownership. According to one New Jersey lawyer, the complaint was therefore dismissed. It wasn't a legal error. According to Ramir's guardian Gr. Lily Cully, simply put, it was fraud. The whispers are growing louder, which is not surprising. Due to Jay-Z's name being suddenly associated with the legal disaster surrounding Diddy, particularly the horrifying accusation involving a juvenile at an after-party in 2000, the public's tolerance for ambiguity is swiftly eroding. Mathew apparently sees the writing on the wall. Los Angeles insiders are also alarmed by the subliminal implication that he has already planned his own legal counteroffensive in case Beyonce remains silent. Because going public and making emails, documents, or even sworn affidavits public might set off a chain reaction that impacts every facet of Jay-Z's business.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact-finding. Right?
Remember that challenging inquiries concerning Jay-Z's past have been made previously. He almost went to jail in 1999 after stabbing a man in a nightclub in Manhattan. Since Aaliyah allegedly left Jay-Z to be with Dash, we already know that there were serious issues. Another triangle that is forbidden to discuss but continues coming up as new cases look at previous relationships is the supposed argument with Dame and Dash over Aaliyah. Like a send in a locked door, Jay-Z's name has long been associated with romantic rivalry claims, temporal overlap, and that unsettling feeling of unresolved business. The larger image, if any element of this blackmail fund hypothesis turns out to be genuine, it's not only a betrayal of Beyonce. Even fans are now beginning to wonder what's been hiding in plain sight. As Remier's claims press hard against Jay's past and Diddy's collapse unfolds in real time. The whole story that made Jay-Z a billionaire man who grew up in the Marcy projects and became the most successful person in the world through talent and perseverance is betrayed. Mathew Knowles is unhappy because if his success was secretly facilitated by lawyers who employed inventive paperwork and a bottomless checkbook for silence, then that image is untrue. Mathew thinks the time has come for the truth, according to a close friend of the Knowles family, not only to clear Beyonce's name, but also to distance her legacy from Jay-Z's alleged corrupt background.
Now removed her. So civil complaint, simply allegations, need to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and we'll see what happens if the DA looks and investigates.
Because if more Remier surfaces, what would happen if there wasn't enough money? Those with knowledge of the issue say that Mathew's warnings are unmistakable. Even though he may not be openly threatening Jay-Z, get out right away or you'll be buried with the secrets, and fatherhood isn't the only topic we're discussing. There are rumors that Mathew is not the only person with receipts. According to a former Rockefeller employee, a collection of old communications might help piece the puzzle together. For years, Jay-Z has put a lot of effort into keeping himself distinctive. Some now believe that Remier, Diddy, and others ventured into the more nefarious regions of music industry gatherings, which no one wanted to admit. Additionally, Beyonce has not yet issued an official comment. Nothing happened, no Instagram unfollowing, no news release. The kind of quiet that is not so much peaceful, it is like the eye of a storm, because what else might occur? If Ree is shown to be correct, the court mandates the DNA test, and Mathew is getting ready to go public. Do you have any more secret identities, money, favors, trips, or court records that are sealed and just waiting to be discovered?
Now, with respect to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her in distress.
For years, Jay-Z's legal obstacles have kept the truth from being revealed, but Beyonce's silence now has the biggest influence. Nothing has been produced by her camp, either a well-crafted denial or a statement, According to public relations specialists, Beyonce's staff is constantly preparing contingency plans and keeping an eye on social media backlash like a crisis command center. Once clockwork reliable appearances have started to abruptly disappear from the calendar, posts are being reviewed, and comments are being cleaned up. In the world of celebrity, where silence often speaks loudest, people are beginning to wonder, is this Beyonce buying time, or is she quietly building an exit plan? The fans listened. This season, Beyonce missed to significant business gatherings. Her Instagram assumed an aura of mystery rather than a red carpet, a virtual shout-out, or a background image of her glamorous crew. A Dove photo, an uncaptioned carousel, and a throwback to her days as a member of Destiny's Child. No Jay, no children, just her. The Beehive was overrun by complete theory. Did it have any symbolic meaning and indication? She's reassessing everything according to someone close to her stylist. Furthermore, that word choice didn't sound trendy. It was filled with the sound of life.
And that, of course, the allegation is that Mr. Combs did the same thing. And so if those facts are actually accurate, it would require an investigation by prosecutors. And if true, right, you could pursue it criminally.
Mathew Knowles and Jay-Z have reportedly been at odds for decades. This extends beyond a single DNA or lawsuit. It's intimate. Unlike his friends, Mathew never openly embraced Jay-Z. Long before Beyonce's career was influenced by Rock Nation, he was the driving factor behind her image. He has long believed that there were shadows surrounding Jay-Z's achievement that nobody wanted to look at. These shadows are increasingly becoming sealed documents, court filings, and persistent public rumors. The courtroom could soon turn into a battlefield. Furthermore, because of his hostile nature and deep Rolodex, you do not want Mathew Knowles on the other side. Jay-Z's legal machine is a textbook of legal gymnastics and has always been a stronghold in one of the Rhymier scenarios. There is no exception: dubious testimony, shifting jurisdictions, sealed documents, and a protracted string of motions intended to delay, reject, and deny. However, one hearing in particular is generating news. Jay-Z was conveniently spared from a court-mandated DNA test because his lawyer exaggerated his real estate holdings. It's a lifeline, not a misprint. Furthermore, the Carter team is now being accused by Ramir's team of crafting a false defense in order to hide the truth. Is strategy that not only defies the law, but also distorts it.
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because rape in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint, is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, raped her.
The legal struggle continued for years, much like a game of procedural chess. Covert dismissals, delays, and motions. However, a far more intimate twist has now surfaced. In recent interviews with court-affiliated sources, Ramir Satwait claimed that Jay-Z has always known that he is not just his biological son. Everything has changed after coming to that conclusion. Silence has been betrayed for decades. Rhymer sources to maintain objectivity. Additionally, that alternative reframes the entire affair as a father deliberately deciding to erase, rather than a man avoiding legal issues. Given the carefully manicured persona he has developed as a loving father to his 3 children with Beyonce, Jay-Z's claim is startling. It feels like a kick in the gut to consider that he might be selectively embracing parenthood, openly honoring one family while privately deserting another. It also compels us to reconsider his previous compositions, his branding that emphasizes family, and his purported adherence to tradition. Ramir claims that this is not only a case of legal evasion, but also an emotional betrayal of a child who grew up with questions no one would answer, and of a lady who supposedly carried that burden alone until her death.
I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it. It's long. where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
Behind the scenes, Ramir's emotional load has been steadily reducing as he moves away from the spotlight and the photographers. Ramir claims that as Jay-Z climbed the Forbes rankings and established billion-dollar companies, he was dealing with identity issues, bereavement, and legal issues. He lived in the shadow of a man who, he said, was always respected but never gave him credit. According to psychological experts we spoke with, the type of prolonged rejection that is alleged in this case can cause pain that lasts a lifetime, particularly when the other parent is deceased. This goes beyond prestige and money, emotional. Closure is at issue here. Ramir also claims that he has been turned down every time. It calls into question Beyonce's awareness as well. If Jay-Z was aware of the reality and chose not to tell, then his supposed son is not the only victim of betrayal. Included are his wife and their whole family. Was the truth ever suspected by Beyonce? Did she inquire, or is she now being seen worldwide while studying in real time with the rest of the world? The emotional harm is serious anyway. This is due to the possibility that Jay-Z's seeming silence is no longer a sound legal tactic. Perhaps it's guilt, and if that guilt turns out to be real, it will do more than harm his reputation. His marriage might be destroyed as a result.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
Fans are rendered unintelligible at that point. The notion that there is a rift that began decades ago and has never fully healed beneath the opulent homes and idyllic vacation pictures. The story is extremely personal and heartbreakingly honest because Ramir claims that he has been purposefully neglected. He had no intention of overthrowing an empire. He claims that his only goal was to locate his father. Additionally, the most serious charge is no longer pending trial. After years of behind closed doors and legal hurdles, he never heard back from the silent. All of this is happening while Jay-Z deals with the consequences from yet another lawsuit linking him to Diddy's scandal-plagued inner circle. One case, two names, and decades of entwined business. This is the kind of partnership that used to garner media notice due to its billionaire glamour. It is currently being looked into for something far more sinister. Jay-Z's entire empire might go awry if the courts ever rule that past incidents were concealed with money and power. His reputation as the suave tycoon who outshone his history, his expensive romances, and his Roc Nation title are all under scrutiny.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was sexually assaulted by both men.
Furthermore, Beyonce has to make a choice in public that no woman should have to make. Is she protecting herself or her family? She works for a respectable company, so her silence could be interpreted as cooperation, even if as a mother. She naturally wants to protect her kids. It was simply stated by a former public relations officer who worked on her early solo endeavors. Beyonce is aware of the story's impact, and some believe that she is being careful about her public remarks because she is awaiting the results of the DNA test. Others believe she's just cutting ties with a man she no longer knows. In the meantime, Carter and the Knowles rivalry is on the verge of disintegrating. Those close to Mathew say that if the test supports Ramir's accusations, Mathew is done with family secrets. He seems to have a dossier prepared that contains correspondence with legal teams, covert video from backstage encounters, and notes from early meetings. Furthermore, rather than only tarnishing Jay-Z, if what he says he is holding is real, it may entirely destroy the Carter legacy. The former royal couple may be about to have an unavoidable, brutal, public, and historic breakdown.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News.
Even if there have been many scandals in Hollywood, this one is more important because it shows a slow-motion erosion of legacy, reputation, and trust. The guy who was once praised as hip-hop's kingmaker may be overthrown by the very reality. He spent millions of dollars attempting to face if a single paternity claim sparks additional research, legal action, and insider trading. Can Jay-Z weather the ensuing uproar if the DNA results support Reimer's account? Will Beyonce remain silent or take action to take back the narrative? To save his daughter and change history, how far will Mathew Knowles go, the Carter Knowles? Standoff seems to be reaching a tipping point, but what if this isn't just about one paternity claim or a strained father-in-law relationship? Sources close to the entertainment legal circuit suggest that Jay-Z's situation could be part of a broader unraveling, a chain reaction ignited by overlapping scandals. While Reimer Satterthwaite's paternity case has drawn public attention, legal insiders whisper that additional sealed court documents related to financial arrangements and past relationships may soon emerge. One Los Angeles-based entertainment attorney claimed there's been a quiet effort across several firms to preemptively review NDAs and property holdings tied to Jay-Z's past to sign that something bigger may be brewing. Meanwhile, chatter within our OC Nation's outer circle hints at a divide not just in the marriage, but within the business infrastructure itself. Some say Beyonce's team is already drawing lines between her personal brand and Jay-Z's ventures, and her sudden absence from high-profile events isn't just about privacy, it's strategic distancing. Adding another twist, a former ROC executive recently implied that Reimer's story isn't the only one with unanswered questions. Allegedly, there's another young man, this one overseas, who has tried contacting Jay-Z's legal team multiple times over the last 5 years. While unconfirmed, the timing of these claims combined with mounting legal scrutiny around figures like Diddy has created an atmosphere where even the most speculative allegations gain traction. And then there's Mathew Knowles, the wild card. Friends say he's not just acting as a protective father, but as a legacy curator, keen on safeguarding Beyonce's public image from reputational fallout. Some claim he's already been approached by documentary producers looking to piece together the truth about Jay-Z's lesser-known history. If true, the real threat isn't just legal, it's narrative. Because if the public begins to view Jay-Z not as the polished mogul, but as someone who maneuvered past responsibility with paperwork and payoffs, the backlash could extend beyond headlines to endorsements, board seats, and business partnerships. What's most intriguing is the silence, Beyonce's silence, Jay-Z's silence, and the growing void where a statement should be. In crisis management, no comment is rarely accidental, it's calculated, often meant to buy time or brace for impact. But as the whispers grow louder and the timelines begin to overlap, Jay-Z, Diddy, sealed documents, hidden settlements, the audience is left wondering whether the Carter empire was ever as unshakable as it seemed. One source close to Beyonce's stylist remarked that her current mindset is less about damage control and more about rediscovery, a quiet return to the version of herself that existed before the headlines, before the empire. And if Mathew's rumored dossier of emails, backstage footage, and meeting notes does exist, it might not just be a personal reckoning, it could rewrite the power narrative of one of music's most iconic couples, because what's being threatened isn't just a reputation, it's a legacy built on the promise of truth, talent, and transformation. And as more light floods the shadows, that legacy is now up for review. The silence is yelling, the cracks are widening, and the truth might bring down the Carter empire with a single court ruling. Tell us what you think. Meanwhile, remain curious, courageous, and keep an eye on the throne, since it may not last long.